Hello, 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 and welcome back to Through the Bible with Yolanda Worldwide. As always, I'll say I'm incredibly blessed that you are joining in with me, whether you are joining in as a replay of the premiere or if you're joining the premiere live. Make sure if you're brand new, go ahead and click the subscribe button and enable the notifications. So by clicking on the little bell so that you don't miss any segment of reading through the Bible. We are reading through the entire Bible in 2025, and I want you to be a part of it. If you have missed any segment so far, we're only about 4 days in, but if you've missed any of it, you can always go back and get yourself caught up in the playlist titled Through the Bible. If you by chance missed Morning Stir, that's attached to this, we are in the midst of our 21 days of fasting. And we are expecting greater in 2025. So you can always go to the live videos or the Morning Stir playlist and catch up on that as well. But without further ado, we're going to jump back in and continue reading. We are making our way through. We are starting off with chapter 20 today. And as always, I'm only going to read about 20, maybe 25 minutes, somewhere in between there, and then we're going to stop for today. But let's go ahead and dive right on in. Genesis chapter 20. Abram traveled there south to the Negev and settled down between Kadesh and Shur. While he was camping in Gerar, Abraham said to his wife Sarah, "She's my sister." So Abimelech, king of Gerar, sent for Sarah and took her. But God came to Abimelech in a dream that night and told him, "You're as good as dead. That woman you took, she's a married woman." Now Abimelech had not yet slept with her, hadn't so much as touched her. He said, "Master, would you kill an innocent man? Didn't he tell me she's my sister? And didn't she herself say he's my brother? I had no idea I was doing anything wrong when I did this." God said to him in the dream, "Yes, I know your intentions were pure. That's why I kept you from sinning against me. I was the one who kept you from going to bed with her. So now give the man's wife back to him. He's a prophet and will pray for you. Pray for your wife, pray for your life. If you don't give her back, know that it's certain death both for you and everyone in your family." Abimelech was up first thing in the morning. He called all his house servants together and told them the whole story. They were shocked. Then Abimelech called Abraham and said, "What have you done to us? What have I ever done to you that you would bring on me and my kingdom this huge offense? What you've done to me ought never to have been done." Abimelech went on to Abraham, "Whatever were you thinking of when you did this thing?" Abraham said, "I just assumed that there was no fear of God in this place and that they'd kill me to get my wife. Besides, the truth is that she is my half sister. She's my father's daughter, but not my mother's. When God sent me out as a wanderer from my father's home, I told her, 'Do me a favor. Wherever we go, tell the people that I'm your brother.'" Then Abimelech gave Sarah back to Abraham, and along with her sent sheep and cattle and servants, both male and female. He said, "My land is open to you. Live wherever you wish." And to Sarah he said, "I've given your brother 1,000 pieces of silver. That clears you of even a shadow of suspicion before the eyes of the world. You're vindicated." Then Abraham prayed to God, and God healed Abimelech, his wife, and his maidservants, and they started having babies again. For God had shut down every womb in Abimelech's household on account of Sarah, Abraham's wife. Chapter 21. God visited Sarah exactly as he said he would. God did to Sarah what he promised. Sarah became pregnant and gave Abraham a son in his old age. And at the very time God had set, Abraham named him Isaac. When his son was 8 days old, Abraham circumcised him just as God had commanded. Abraham was 100 years old when his son Isaac was born. Sarah said, God has blessed me with laughter, and all who get the news will laugh with me. She also said, whoever would have suggested to Abraham that Sarah would one day nurse a baby, yet here I am. I've given the old man a son. The baby grew and was weaned. Abraham threw a big party on the day Isaac was weaned. One day, Sarah saw the son of Hagar, the Egyptian, had been born to Abraham, poking fun at her son Isaac. She told Abraham, get rid of this slave woman and her son. No child of this slave is going to share inheritance with my son Isaac. The matter gave great pain to Abraham. After all, Ishmael was his son. But God spoke to Abraham, don't feel badly about the boy and your maid. Do whatever Sarah tells you. Your descendants will come through Isaac. Regarding your maid's son, be assured that I'll also develop a great nation from him. He's your son too. Abraham got up early the next morning, got some food together and a canteen of water for Hagar, put them on her back, and sent her away with the child. She wandered into the desert of Beersheba when the water was gone. She left the child under a shrub and went off 50 yards or so. She said, I can't watch my son die. As she sat, she broke into sobs. Meanwhile, God heard the boy crying. The angel of God called from heaven to Hagar, what's wrong, Hagar? Don't be afraid. God has heard the boy and knows the fix he's in. Up now, go get the boy, hold him tight. I'm going to make him a great nation. Just then, God opened her eyes. She looked, she saw a well of water. She went to it and filled her canteen and gave the boy a long, cool drink. God was on the boy's side as he grew up. He lived out in the desert and became a skilled archer. He lived in the Paran wilderness, and his mother got him a wife from Egypt. At about that same time, Abimelech and the captain of his troops, Phicol, spoke to Abraham, no matter what you do, God is on your side. So swear to me that you won't do anything underhanded to me or any of my family. For as long as you live here, swear that you'll treat me and my land as well as I've treated you. Abraham said, I swear it. At the same time, Abraham confronted Abimelech over the matter of a well of water that Abimelech's servants had taken. Abimelech said, I have no idea who did this. You never told me about it. This is the first I've heard of it. So the two of them made a covenant. Abraham took sheep and cattle and gave them to Abimelech. Abraham set aside 7 sheep from his flock. Abimelech said, what does this mean? These 7 sheep you've set aside. Abraham said, it means that when you accept these 7 sheep, you take it as proof that I dug this well, that it's my well. That's how the place got named Beersheba, the oath well, because the two of them swore a covenant oath there. After they had made the covenant at Beersheba, Abimelech and his commander Phicol left and went back to Philistine territory. Abraham planted a tamarisk tree in Beersheba and worshiped God there, praying to the eternal God. Abraham lived in Philistine country for a long time. Chapter 22. After all this, God tested Abraham. God said, Abraham, yes, answered Abraham, I'm listening. He said, take your dear son Isaac, whom you love, and go to the land of Moriah. Sacrifice him there as a burnt offering on one of the mountains that I'll point out to you. Abraham got up early in the morning and saddled his donkey. He took 2 of his young servants and his son Isaac. He had split wood for the burnt offering. He set out for the place God had directed him. On the third day, he looked up and saw the place in the distance. Abraham told his two young servants, "Stay here with the donkey. The boy and I are going over there to worship. Then we'll come back to you." Abraham took the wood for the burnt offering and gave it to Isaac, his son, to carry. He carried the flint and the knife. The two of them went off together. Isaac said to Abraham, his father, "Father." "Yes, my son." "We have flint and wood, but where's the sheep for the burnt offering?" Abraham said, "Son, God will see to it that there's a sheep for the burnt offering." And they kept on walking together. They arrived at the place to which God had directed him. Abraham built an altar. He laid out the wood. Then he tied up Isaac and laid him on the wood. Abraham reached out and took the knife to kill his son. Just then, an angel of God called to him out of heaven, "Abraham, Abraham." "Yes, I'm listening." "Don't lay a hand on that boy. Don't touch him. Now I know how fearlessly you fear God and didn't hesitate to place your son, your dear son, on the altar for me." Abraham looked up. He saw a ram caught by its horns in the thicket. Abraham took the ram and sacrificed it as a burnt offering instead of his son. Abraham named that place God Yireh. God sees to it. That's where we get the saying, "On the mountain of God, he sees to it." The angel of God spoke from heaven a second time to Abraham. "I swear, God's sure word, because you have gone through with this and have not refused to give me your son, your dear, dear son, I'll bless you. Oh, how I'll bless you. And I'll make sure that your children flourish like stars in the sky, like sand on the beaches, and your descendants will defeat their enemies. All nations on earth will find themselves blessed through your descendants because you obeyed me." Then Abraham went back to his young servants. They got things together and returned to Beersheba. Abraham settled down in Beersheba. After all this, Abraham got the news: "Your brother Nahor is a father. Milcah has given him children. Uz, his firstborn, his brother Buz, Kemuel, he was the father of Aram, Kesed, Hazo, Pildash, Jidlaph, and Bethuel. Bethuel was the father of Rebekah. Milcah gave these 8 sons to Nahor, Abraham's brother. His concubine, Reumah, gave him 4 more children: Teba, Gaham, Tahash, and Maacah. Chapter 23. Sarah lived 127 years. Sarah died in Kiriath Arba, present day Hebron, in the land of Canaan. Abraham mourned for Sarah and wept. Then Abraham got up from mourning his dead wife and spoke to the Hittites. "I know I'm only an outsider here among you, but sell me a burial plot so that I can bury my dead decently." The Hittites responded, "Why? You're no mere outsider here with us. You're a prince of God. Bury your dead wife in the best of our burial sites. None of us will refuse you a place for burial." Then Abraham got up, bowed respectfully to the people of the land, the Hittites, and said, "If you're serious about helping me give my wife a proper burial, intercede for me with Ephron, son of Zohar. Ask him to sell me the cave of Machpelah that he owns, and one at the end of his land. Ask him to sell it to me at its full price for a burial plot with you as witnesses." Ephron was part of the local Hittite community. Then Ephron the Hittite spoke up, answering Abraham, with all the Hittites who were a part of the town council listening. "Oh, no, my master, I couldn't do that. The field is yours, a gift. I'll give it and the cave to you, with my people as witnesses. I give it to you. Bury your deceased wife." Abraham bowed respectfully before the assembled council and answered Ephron, "Please allow me. I want to pay the price of the land. Take my money so that I can go ahead and bury my wife." Then Ephron answered Abraham, if you insist, master, what's 400 silver shekels between us? Now go ahead and bury your wife. Abraham accepted Ephron's offer and paid out the sum that Ephron had named before the town council of Hittites, 400 silver shekels at the current exchange rate. That's how Ephron's field next to Mamre, the field, its cave, and all the trees within its borders became Abraham's property. The town council of Hittites witnessed the transaction. Abraham then proceeded to bury his wife Sarah in the cave in the field of Machpelah, that is next to Mamre, present day Hebron, in the land of Canaan. The field and its caves went from the Hittites into Abraham's possession as a burial plot. Chapter 24. Abraham was now an old man. God had blessed Abraham in every way. Abraham spoke to the senior servant in his household, the one in charge of everything he had. Put your hand under my thigh and swear by God, God of heaven, God of earth, that you will not get a wife for my son from among the young women of the Canaanites here, but will go to the land of my birth and get a wife for my son Isaac. The servant answered, but what if the woman refuses to leave home and come with me? Do I then take your son back to your home country? Abraham said, oh, no, never. By no means are you to take my son back there. God, the God of heaven, took me from the home of my father and from the country of my birth and spoke to me in solemn promise. I'm giving this land to your descendants. This God will send his angel ahead of you to get a wife for my son. And if the woman won't come, you are free from this oath you've sworn to me, but under no circumstances are you to take my son back there. So the servant put his hand under the thigh of his master Abraham and gave his solemn oath. The servant took 10 of his master's camels and loaded with gifts from his master, traveled to Aram, Naharaim, and the city of Nahor. Outside the city, he made the camels kneel at a well. It was evening, the time when the women came to draw water. He prayed, O God of my master Abraham, make things go smoothly this day. Treat my master Abraham well as I stand here by the spring while the young women of the town come out to get water. Let the girl to whom I say, lower your jug and give me a drink, and who answers, drink and let me also water your camels. Let her be the woman you have picked out for your servant Isaac. Then I'll know that you're working graciously behind the scenes for my master. It so happened that the words were barely out of his mouth when Rebekah, the daughter of Bethuel, whose mother was Milcah, the wife of Nahor, Abraham's brother, came out with a water jug on her shoulder. The girl was stunningly beautiful, a pure virgin. She went down to the spring, filled her jug, and came back up. The servant ran to meet her and said, please, can I have a sip of water from your jug? She said, certainly, drink. And she said, held the jug so that he could drink. When he had satisfied his thirst, she said, I'll get water for your camels too until they've drunk their fill. She promptly emptied her jug into the trough and ran back to the well to fill it, and she kept at it until she had watered all the camels. The man watched silent. Was this God's answer? Had God made his trip a success or not? When the camels had finished drinking, the man brought out gifts, a gold nose ring weighing a little over a quarter of an ounce, and 2 arm bracelets weighing about 4 ounces, and gave them to her. He asked her, tell me about your family. Whose daughter are you? Is there room in your father's house for us to stay the night? She said, I'm the daughter of Bethuel, the son of Milcah and Nahor. And there's plenty of room in our house for you to stay, and lots of straw and feed besides. At this, the man bowed in worship before God and prayed, blessed be God, God of my master Abraham, how generous and true you've been to my master. You've held nothing back. You led me right to the door of my master's brother. And the girl was off and running, telling everyone in her mother's house what had happened. Rebekah had a brother named Laban, Laban ran outside to the man at the spring. He had seen the nose ring and the bracelets on his sister and had heard her say, "The man said this and this to me." So he went to the man, and there he was, still standing with his camels at the spring. Laban welcomed him. "Come on in, blessed be God. Why are you standing out here? I've got the house ready for you, and there's also a place for your camels." So the man went into the house. The camels were unloaded and given straw and feed. Water was brought to bathe the feet of the man and the men with him. Then Laban brought out food, but the man said, "I won't eat until I tell my story." Laban said, "Go ahead, tell us." The servant said, "I'm the servant of Abraham. God has blessed my master. He's a great man. God has given him sheep and cattle, silver and gold, servants and maidservants, camels and donkeys. And then to top it off, Sarah, my master's wife, gave him a son in her old age, and he has passed everything on to his son. My master made me promise, don't get a wife for my son from the daughters of the Canaanites in whose land I live. No, go to my father's home, back to my family, and get a wife for my son there." I said to my master, "But what if the woman won't come with me?" He said, "God before whom I've walked faithfully will send his angel with you, and he'll make things work out so that you bring back a wife for my son from my family, from the house of my father. Then you'll be free from the oath. If you go to my family and they won't give her to you, you will also be free from the oath." Well, when I came this very day to the spring, I prayed, "God, God of my master Abraham, make things turn out well in this task I've been given. I'm standing at this well when a young woman comes here to draw water, and I say to her, 'Please give me a sip of water from your jug.' And she says, 'Not only will I give you a drink, I'll also water your camels.' Let that woman be the wife God has picked out for my master's son." I had barely finished offering this prayer when Rebecca arrived, her jug on her shoulder. She went to the spring and drew water, and I said, "Please, can I have a drink?" She didn't hesitate. She held out her jug and said, "Drink, and when you're finished, I'll also water your camels." I drank, and she watered the camels. I asked her, "Whose daughter are you?" She said, "The daughter of Bethuel, whose parents were Nahor and Milcah." I gave her a ring for her nose, bracelets for her arms, and bowed in worship to God. I praised God, the God of my master Abraham, who had led me straight to the door of my master's family to get a wife for his son. Now tell me what you're going to do. If you plan to respond with a generous yes, tell me. But if not, tell me plainly so I can figure out what to do next. Laban and Bethuel answered, "This is undeniably from God. We have no say in the matter. Either yes or no, Rebecca is yours. Take her and go. Let her be the wife of your master's son, and God has made plain, as God has made plain." When Abraham's servant heard their decision, he bowed in worship before God. Then he brought out gifts of silver and gold and clothing and gave them to Rebekah. He also gave expensive gifts to her brother and mother. He and his men had supper and spent the night, but first thing in the morning they were up. He said, "Send me back to my master." Her brother and master said, "Let the girl stay a while. Say another 10 days and then go." Her brother and mother said, "Let the girl stay a while." Chapter or verse 56. He said, "Oh, don't make me wait. God has worked everything out so well. Send me off to my master." They said, "We'll call the girl. We'll ask her." They called Rebecca and asked her, "Do you want to go with this man?" And she said, "I'm ready to go." So they sent them off, their sister Rebecca with her nurse, and Abraham's servant with his men. And they blessed Rebekah, saying, "You're our sister. Live bountifully, and your children triumphantly." Rebekah and her young maids mounted the camels and followed the man. The servant took Rebekah and set off for home. Isaac was living in the Negev. He had just come back from a visit to Bir Lahai Roi, In the evening, he went out into the field. While meditating, he looked up and saw camels coming. When Rebekah looked up and saw Isaac, she got down from her camel and asked the servant, "Who is that man out in the field coming toward us?" "That is my master." She took her veil and covered herself. After the servant told Isaac the whole story of the trip, Isaac took Rebekah into the tent of his mother Sarah. He married Rebekah and she became his wife, and he loved her. So Isaac found comfort after his mother's death. That was chapters 20, Genesis chapters 22 through 24 in the message version. We're going to stop there because we don't want this to be too lengthy, but we'll pick up tomorrow starting at chapter 25. Again, if you jumped in and you are brand new and have not yet subscribed, make sure you do that and enable the notifications by clicking on the little bell so that you don't miss anything. And also be sure to check out Morning Stir in the live section or on the Morning Stir playlist. You will enjoy that as well. Blessings. Have a great day, and we'll see you more tomorrow for Through the Bible with Yolanda Worldwide. Have an amazing day.